Hurt is a feeling that tells you you experienced a wound. Hurt is a very important feeling to have. Yes, sadness hurts, but hurt is a sense of wound of the self, a damage to the heart. Now, how important is it to be sensitive to feeling wounds? Very important. If you get a big, bad cut on the back of your leg and you can't feel it, you're in trouble. Bad cut. Do you know that there's a disorder that is actually that people who are incapable of having pain? Children, it's disastrous. Tony Dungy has a son who's incapable of having pain. And the story about him reaching into the oven to grab a cookie off of the oven still on and taking the cookie and eating it, he couldn't feel the pain scorching his skin. I remember reading an article about a mother whose daughter didn't have pain. They didn't know when she was sick. And at the end of the article, the mother said, I would give anything for my child to have pain, because not having pain was killing her. Infections, disorders, not recognizing them. Do you know? Okay, so if you have a terrible, terrible wound on the back of your leg and you can't feel it, which is what most people are trained to do, deny your hurt. Vow yourself against it. Get harder than your pain. No pain, no gain. Grow through it. If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. On and on and on, which turns into, that's water under the bridge. Get over it. If you're not a big dog, get off the porch or get on the porch or something. Or if you're not the lead dog, the view never changes if you're a sled dog. Or what goes around comes around. Don't cry over spilled milk. Deal with it. And think about, we're so sick with what we've been taught. Water under the bridge. Do you realize okay, what's water under the bridge? What does that even mean? It means forget about it. Forget about it. It means don't let it bother you. It means don't worry about it. Guys, that's crazy. Because if you really were a thinking, feeling person, you'd go across the bridge one day and you go, where's the water go? But instead, you're trained not to wonder. You're trained not to think about feeling. You're trained not to be curious. You're trained not to delight in the presence of another. You're trained to not be willing to stand in somebody's way. You get it? You're trained to not let yourself be hurt. Those 4 characteristics of love I named earlier, you're trained not to love. Because we don't even ask a question about where the water goes. Let me tell you where the water goes. The water goes down the river, takes a dogleg right, and collects in a reservoir called all the memories you don't want to have to attend to that are full of grief and joy. If you live between 5 and 5, not feeling, your life's a river that collects in a reservoir that stops, and the valley beyond it never gets watered. It's amazing, isn't it? So I want you to know, we've been taught all these sayings and things about not feeling. It's amazing. And we just walk along and not question it. Let me give you one more example about how powerful denying hurt is, or denying sadness, or denying loneliness. About next November, 2017, some of you in October, even famous artists are going to be going into the studio to finish cutting an album. You're going to start hearing a song is a threat, a trauma, and a torture to children. And we're all going to sing it laughing. And the children are going to teach the children to sing it and laugh. We're going to drive in the car and sing it. Turn around to our kids, and they're going to be doing this, laughing about it. And it's just one little thing, one little song. Do you know how many songs there are? 22 million. I mean, there's a bunch of songs. It's just one song. You better watch out. You better not pout. You better not feel anything. You better not pout. You better not cry. I'm going to tell you why. I'm explaining things to you. Santa Claus is coming to town. Okay? Now put a smile on that face. Let's go. Sing it. You better watch out. You better not pout. You better not cry. I'll tell you why. In fact, let me tell you more. He's making a list about your performance. He's checking things off. That list, he's not just checking it once. How many times is he checking that list? Twice. See? You know it better than you know the Bible. Comes to you like that. See, it's amazing. I could ask you a basic scriptural thing that every Christian knows. You go, how many times check this? Twice. We know the answer. He's making a list. He's checking it twice. What for? To see who's been bad who's been naughty or nice. He's measuring you down. He's looking at your performance. He's checking your condition. He's examining you, and he's finding you very insufficient. Oh, by the way, if you're not scared enough, he knows when you're awake. He knows when you're asleep. He's watching you. Isn't it something? He's so friendly. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you're asleep. He knows if you've been bad or good. Now listen to this. I've got a master's degree in English. Okay? It's the only time I've ever seen in a major in literature. Only time I've ever seen the phrase good and bad turned on its heels. You don't ever see the phrase bad and good. Think about it. Do you ever say, it's bad and good? How's your day? Bad and good. You say good and bad. Or so-and-so, what's good and bad? But this song's smart. He knows who's been bad or good. Good's whispered. It's little bitty. Bad's big, little good. He knows who's been bad or good. For the sake of God, be good. Because Santa Claus, he's coming. He's coming to your town. He's coming to your room. He watches you while you're sleeping. He's a big old fat man making himself little bitty, walk through walls. You think God's scary? You better look at his emissary, Santa Claus. So you see? Because the phrase, for goodness sake, is a euphemistic way of saying for the sake of God. That song is threatening and traumatic. And we don't even know it. You know, anybody sing it this year? Anybody sing it this year? You better watch out. You better not. I can't sing. I better stop right there. But guys, you think children aren't hearing that? They're hearing it. But they're misinterpreting your smile for the truth. And they'll negate the words to cooperate. It's amazing. Oh, this elf on the shelf thing, that thing needs to go out too. That thing always watching you. Isn't it an elf on the shelf that watches kids? That's torture. So I got a camera on you every second. Oh, you really do. Sorry about that. It really is. But you get, okay. So I'm saying that denial of hurt, and you've got a bad cut on your leg and you don't know it's there, you stand a pretty good chance of bleeding out. Your denied hurt can kill you. Now let's say it doesn't kill you fast. Let's say you deny the cut, it just becomes infected, and then gangrenous, and then toxic, more toxic. Then you become septic. Then you become amputated. Then you die. Hurt, unaddressed, is poison to yourself. It's poison. What is the poison? The poison of hurt is its impaired expression. Resentment. Resentment is impaired hurt. Hurt means I have a wound. Now, I told you earlier, very smartly, I told you earlier that nobody else can have your pain but you. And you must not compare your pain to others. Okay? We're trained in doing that. Okay? But if I say, you know what? Maybe you, what is your name? Sam. Maybe, Sam, you really are kind of a baby. Okay? I'm just kidding. Okay? Now, I'm just kidding. And I'm smart enough to be kidding. Sam's big. See, I'm being smart. Okay? Now, when I said that, on some level, because Sam's alive, and Sam's had, how old are you? Old enough to know what life is like. He's been through things, around things, because he's alive and here. On some level, did you feel anything about me saying, Sam, maybe you are a baby? Yeah. And how many of you felt a feeling about me saying that to Sam? Even like, wait, you kidding? I said you said you're kidding, but you said it. Are you kidding or are you not kidding? And some of you might have felt some fear, like what? Or maybe hurt yourself. Like, don't say it to Sam, we're angry. And on some level, because you're alive, you had to wonder, did you mean that? Or is that a joke? And if it's a joke, I'm not sure how funny it is. Do y'all get that? Does everybody get that? This is a big deal. Because you're talking about that would hurt, wouldn't it, Sam? Wouldn't that hurt you? Would that hurt you? Even as a joke? Guys, that's just one sentence. one little grain of sand, one song, one comment. And I'm saying that you have to, most of us spend our lives denying asking the questions directly related to our pain. Because I promise you that on some level, Sam has a question. What's the question? Do you have any idea? After I said something that could be mean. What? Say it again. Yes. Do you really mean that? And I go, Sam, no, I don't mean it. I was wrong to say it. I thought it was play and it wasn't play. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Because he dared to ask the question, he was sensitive to his pain. He broke the rules, didn't he? Because that wasn't a big enough experience to be able to say anything about. Right? And, it kind of breaks the rules. I say it's a great rule to break because if he doesn't break the rule, he and I do not have a relationship at all. And then he's got to shut me out on some level and pretend that he's paying attention to something that he really needs. But on some level, he's like, I'm not listening to this guy. Do y'all get that? Does that make sense? He asked the question. He was sensitive to his cut. He said, do you mean that? I go, Sam, I don't mean that. In fact, may have been even a mistake to use it as an example. But I guarantee you, on some level, you asking that question brings with it other hurts. You get that? Because you've been alive, you're in pain. And there are a lot of hurts in your life that haven't been addressed. And the hurts that haven't been addressed means you've been doing a lot of your life alone. And it's not okay for you to live alone. It's time for you to face how much you've done alone. So you can hurt about it and grieve about it and realize that there are other people doing the same thing. It's like, you don't like it. You don't want them to do it either. Now, I want you to see that your willingness to hurt and admit it. I have a wound is an admission that reveals a need, that reveals a request for help. And when you have a hurt, who is it that can help you? The only person that can help you is a person who knows what to do with hurt. You don't go to people who don't hurt when you're hurt. You go to people who do hurt. You go to people who have the courage to acknowledge that it hurt. I promise you on some level, the fact that you would look at me with y'all together, you look at me and you say, the truth of my heart is, did you mean that? That what you would say to me? And I would say, no, I don't. On some level, me saying, and if I did, I'm sorry. Are we closer or farther apart? Yes. In fact, it's like, I feel close to you right now. It sounds goofy, doesn't it? But do you do with me on some level? Do you see that? That's not magic. That's God's creation at work. It came from admission of somebody who can receive hurt. He's safe to have hurt. And we're exaggerating at a point, but kind of not, right? Okay. So hurt is a feeling we admit to bring us to the healing. And believe it or not, Sam asking that question and me, I know there's pretending in it, but there's enough reality in it for there to be something to relate to, isn't there? Yeah. Because I can see it in your face and you can see it in mine. And when you see it in my face and I see it in yours, on some level, our hearts are going, yeah, yeah. Kind of like, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's called healing. Healing allows you to take the risk of getting hurt again. Except you're wiser about how to live and do it. Sam will be more quickly able to say, what you said cut me right here. Did you mean to cut me? Did you mean that? Because if we don't get to where we can do that, then we've got to react to the cuts, called defend ourselves from them. And we lose the capacity of reconciliation. Correct? And it's not the big cuts that matter. It's all the little cuts that get us. Till finally one more cut, that's it. And that resentment, now resentment is, I'm not going to hurt, you are. I'm not going to hurt, you are. How are you going to hurt? I'm not going to let you know me. Okay, that's what resentment is. And resentment turns into blame. You did it, you fix it. You caused it. You make it okay. Does that make sense? And people who are blaming, who will not take ownership of their hurt, become people who are revengeful. They're just somebody you watch out for because they're wearing their hearts on their sleeves. You don't ever know if you actually bump into them, like what it turns into. They're just prickly. They're just people you just sort of avoid. They're people you watch out what you say around them. They're people you can't be yourself around. You got to be careful. You can't be yourself. Revengeful people, because they can't tolerate hurt. And revengeful people become vengeful people. They spend their lives paying other people back for whatever was done that you didn't do. It's amazing the number of marriages I work with my whole life where the other spouse has to pay for something they didn't break, and they owe a debt that they didn't incur. The spouse is trying to make that other spouse pay for what happened in their past. So it's amazing. So resentment, blame, revengeful, vengeful. And then what do you feel around this person if you want to be with them? Hurt. Hurt people hurt people. People who won't take ownership of their hurt people. It's amazing. This isn't weakness. This is strength. This is an invitation into relationship with other people. Sam invited me into relationship by saying, I wonder if that's what you really think. Are you playing or is this real? Because if it's real, I don't like it. I didn't come here for this. Like, whew, that's strong, isn't it? You hear the strength of that? A lot of rules being broken. He didn't care what Santa Claus is doing. He's being naughty. You see? Okay. And then finally, because it hurts to be around this person, they wind up isolated and they blame you for that condition. Hurt people, sad people make people sad. You get it? It's amazing responsibility to take responsibility for your own lives. Instead of feelings being something that blame and a weakness, it's a form of taking responsibility. They're my feelings. Okay. What we'll do, because of the extent of what we're doing, healing, by the way, healing allows you to have courage. Courage means to keep heart. You're staying in the game. Yeah, that hurt. I'm in the game. Went out and got healed. I'm back in the game. You don't go to a place where you don't get hurt. You become wise about how you get hurt and willingness to get hurt.